after weeks and weeks of rain. Look at this. The sun, finally. The sun is back out. We've halved our winter bills this year, thanks in part to the solar panels and batteries that we've got. So we're saving really good money again, and it's probably just in time, because in the immortal words of Edwin Starr, oil company profits. At the time of recording, gas prices have doubled in 2 days, thanks to the Iran war. And those prices are likely to increase, of course. Now, since most people in the UK use gas for their heating, and because a lot of the electricity that we generate in the UK is thanks to gas, and even renewable prices are set by gas, which is madness, it's just a big, big mess. Now, the only way we can protect ourselves from these rises in electricity prices is by generating and storing our own electricity. So on a fairly cold but sunny day like this, with our awful electric radiators going, we generate about 30 kilowatt hours from the sun, and that all gets used by the house. That means the solar panels save us almost £9 in 1 day. And if energy prices increase, then we save even more money, of course. So that's obviously ignoring the initial cost of installing the system, but it does mean that payback can be much quicker than you think. Now, if you're in a position to put solar panels and or a battery on your property, then do get some quotes. And I know it's obviously a big chunk of money, but it is a good investment, and it does insulate you from worldwide energy price increases. Our system was installed by Heatable, who have been absolutely fantastic. So I have referral codes. I've put them on the screen. So you can get money off with them, £150 off a solar install if you use Mr. EV 150, and £75 off a battery installation if you use Mr. EV 75. But whether you go to Heatable or whether you go to someone else, just look into it, because really it's such a good thing to do, being energy independent as much as possible anyway. So do get a quote if you can. Our house is purely powered by electricity. We don't have any mains gas, which is kind of unusual really in the UK. But actually, in our road, there's a lot of houses that don't rely on mains gas either. What they do rely on is gas deliveries. Cala come quite often, actually, especially in winter, to top up these tanks. So I was thinking about this the other day when the last gas delivery came. How weird is it that so many of us have to rely on gas deliveries or oil deliveries, or obviously petrol and diesel? Isn't it strange that we have to rely on all these big, heavy trucks causing potholes, delivering all of this fossil fuel? Isn't it easier to heat a house or fuel your car just with electricity, especially electricity that you generate yourself on the roof of your house if you can? Today, we're going to talk about system performance, solar and battery savings, Octopus prices, a little pond update if you're interested, and the problem I had with the Zappi, which I think is now fixed. Before I continue with all the juicy data, please consider subscribing to the channel. Really, really appreciate it. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers. How crazy is that? We'll do a little video marking the event, but yeah, can't believe it really after 7 years of making videos. So anyway, thank you very much. If you've subscribed already, thank you very much. If you press subscribe, and let's get on with all the proper data before the chickens steal my notes. Nope. Okay, very, very quick recap on what system we've got. On the roof of our house, we've got 30 panels. That's a total of 13.5 kilowatts. Our roof, as you can see, is quite a shallow pitch. It's a bungalow. It's at 30 degrees. So it does mean that actually during winter, especially because of the trees we've got either side, generation is not very good. Once it gets to summer and the sun's higher, then it obviously gets much better. Then on the side of the house, we've got 2 batteries and 2 inverters. They're linked up in parallel. Both of the inverters are 5 kilowatts. Both of the batteries are 10 kilowatt hours. That means we have 10 kilowatt inverter and 20 kilowatt hours of battery storage. So that's the system. Now, this was installed by Heatable back in April last year. So we're coming up for 12 months of having this system. So first of all, let's talk about system performance. January was pretty bad. Didn't see the sun very much at all. February, that trend continued. A lot of rain. I think more rain than I've ever seen in my life. We had streams in our garden that I didn't know existed. So February was terrible, but near the end of February, we had a couple of really bright spots and it improved my mood massively. It's the 25th of February and we're pretty much at 100% battery at 3:30 in the afternoon, which is amazing. We've had so many weeks, months of rain, and finally the sun's out and the solar panels are actually doing something. Yesterday was actually the first day in a long time that we didn't use any energy from the grid. It's the same today, but today the difference is we have actually reached 100%. The dog is chasing the poor chickens. What a wonderful end to February that was, and now we're in March and it looks like the good weather might be continuing, which is wonderful and badly needed to lift all of our spirits, I think, because the UK has been greyer and more miserable than it normally is. Pepperina's just laid an egg and she does this weird thing where she throws sticks and leaves on her back. Don't know why. It's a weird thing about chickens. Or maybe just this chicken, I'm not sure. Let's compare our February bill for this year to last year. Last year we used 2,575 kilowatt hours of electricity. Bloody hell. £641.64 that cost us. That's a hell of a bill, isn't it, for 1 month? Fast forward to this year, and we used much less energy, 1,838 kilowatt hours, and that cost us £315.12. Much better. We also exported a little bit as well, so we got £14.06 from exporting, so that's a total of £301.06. So that's well over half taken off the bill. So how have we halved our February bill? I talk about these a lot, I'm sorry, but our electric radiators cost a lot to run. And that's just because electricity is very expensive. Shouldn't be, but it is. So in 2025, the radiators use 1,800 kilowatt hours. 247 of that was just the conservatory heating. Oof. And then 2026, much less, 1,132 kilowatt hours. 79 kilowatt hours was a conservatory. Obviously, big change this year, much better. And one of the biggest changes was that we weren't heating the conservatory as much, clearly, and that's partly because I've been moaning to my wife about it so much. Also, the temperature of the house, all the radiators are set a little bit lower. They're set to 18.5, which is not particularly comfortable. And to be honest, we were walking around wearing our dressing gowns much of the time. However, if we look at the Rointe app, Rointe is the maker of radiator, we can see that despite the temperature being lower, it maintained a higher temperature quite well. And I think that's partly due to February probably being milder. I mean, it was raining a lot, which means more cloud and less lovely blue skies. It can be quite cold in winter, of course. It's partly that, but also because we've got cavity wall insulation now, and I think that probably helps a lot. It's very difficult to measure just how much it improves it, but it's certainly making a difference. So looking at the year so far, since we had the system installed, we've spent £1,294.84, £2,281 of energy cost, and then £986 exported. But that's obviously not the whole story. How much would we have spent if we didn't have the solar panels and the battery? You know, how much is this system actually saving us? Now, it's really difficult to get an actual figure. The Alpha app says that we've made £3,155 profit. I don't think that's true. I think we've made £1,937 of savings based on the money saved using the solar power and the battery. Because, of course, as I said, we charge it up cheap at night and then use that throughout the day. But I'm going to wait until April, when we've had this system in a year, and then I'll be able to work out the final figures for the whole year and work out the payback, because I know a lot of you are probably interested in the payback. Now, there is someone that keeps bothering me in the comments of these videos over and over again saying it's better to invest money in stocks and shares and all that sort of stuff. I'm risk averse, personally. So I don't really like dabbling in the stock market. Great if you do, I don't. I think the money spent on this system on our house, which gives us energy independence, to a degree anyway, I think having that, which does pay back slowly, but it does happen over time, I think that's a better use of my money. I'm more comfortable spending my money on that than I would be investing into stocks and shares, which can go up and they can go down. And it's the can go down bit that I don't like. This is a safer bet because energy prices will go up. And as energy prices go up, this system continues to pay for itself even better than it ordinarily would. Right, just a word on Octopus. Now, Octopus have raised their prices for Intelligent Octopus Go. That's the tariff that we're on. It's a tariff I've done a video about before. It's really good. It's only available if you've got an EV. If you plug your EV in the middle of the day, then there's a chance, especially if it's windy, there's a chance that it will start charging during the day. And while your car is charging, your house also gets the cheap electricity. So you get the cheap rate even during the day. Now, Octopus are going to be changing this at some point. I think it was supposed to have already happened, but it hasn't happened yet. But they are going to change it and limit you to 6 hours of cheap electricity every day. But that hasn't happened yet, and we'll probably do a separate video about that, even though loads of other YouTubers have done that as well. However, prices have gone up a little bit anyway for Intelligent Octopus Go. So the off-peak rate is now 7.5 pence per kilowatt hour and 33.41 pence per kilowatt hour for the day rate. However, that's new customers only that's applying to. So existing customers continue to get the rates that we're already on, so 7 pence per kilowatt hour off-peak, and then whatever the peak rate is, which I'll put on screen because I can never remember it. I think it's quite refreshing to have a company that rewards existing customers and not just gives like a special offer to the new customers. So I think that's great. I do love Octopus. Been with them for a long, long time. And as with every other YouTuber, I think I've got a referral code. So do use that if you want £50 off if you switch to them. And I get £50 as well. So thank you very much if you do that. However, it's not all good news. They've reduced the amount that they'll now give you for export. It was 15 pence per kilowatt hour. It's now gone down to 12 pence per kilowatt hour. That's still pretty competitive, actually, but obviously a bit less. So whatever we export from the excess solar or whatever we put back into the grid from the battery is now going to be 12 pence instead of 15 pence. So we'll earn less money going forward. So why has this happened? I think it's partly because there's a glut, actually, of renewables on the grid during the day when we don't actually need it. This is called the duck curve, and I'm going to link to a Gary Does Solar video where he talks about this. So it will probably happen that export rates will just continue to go down, or at least they'll go down during the day when we don't need it. But during the sort of the peak rate hours, like when everyone starts cooking, that's when we really need that cheap electricity. So, you know, you'll get more benefits if you export from your battery at those times, and that's a whole other topic that I'll have to get into at some point. But for the moment, yeah, it's gone down from 15 to 12 pence. It won't impact me massively because we tend to use most of the solar that we generate. However, if we do get a heat pump or something like that, then we'll be using less electricity. And in that case, then we will obviously be saving a little bit less when we're exporting back to the grid. And now a very, very quick update about the pond. In my last video, after the weeks and weeks of rain, it started overflowing in quite a bad way, kind of flooded our patio and everything. And part of the problem was that we couldn't find the overflow, because the pond does have an overflow, so that shouldn't happen, and we couldn't find the damn thing. So we had a pump going, and we pumped out quite a lot, as best we could, and then my wife found the overflow, scraped away all the crap that was blocking that up, and then everything started going good again. So everything's fine with the pond now, thankfully. And the other news, I suppose, if you care about this, is the frogs are back. So we've got some frogs mating, so we're going to have some frog spawn, I suppose. I do love this pond. In my previous video, I went through our various options with heating because, as I said, we've got electric radiators, they cost a fortune, and I would love to replace them with another solution. So I looked at storage heaters, air conditioning, an air-to-air heat pump, or air-to-water heat pump, or what else? Underfloor heating, water source, ground source. I spoke about all of this, and we haven't made any decision at all. So I'm not going to give you an update now, but stay tuned because I am talking to companies, and hopefully we'll make a decision soon about that. Now, I've had a problem with the Zappi for quite a while. In fact, really, for as long as we've had the solar and battery system installed. The problem has been that with Intelligent Octopus Go, as I mentioned before, when you plug the car in, you can get cheap slots during the day. And when the cheap slots happen during the day, obviously the car starts charging. That's using 7 kilowatts of power. But we've got electric radiators, which are quite thirsty as well. And what would happen is it would use too much power and I'd get a little error message pop up, G100 limit. And then I would have to get it reset by my energy if it happened too many times during the month. And this was driving me absolutely mad. A lot of people commented on the previous video. Thank you very much if you did. Give me little hints and suggestions. A lot of them saying that the CT clamp was in the wrong place. The CT clamp measures the electricity use. And the CT clamp was on the neutral, and in theory it should have been on live. Now, as I replied to a lot of people, I put that CT clamp pretty much every position I possibly could to try and get it working, and frankly it didn't. I just gave up and left it there. It made no difference, no discernible difference anyway, whether it was on neutral or live, and even what way round it was pointed. And so yeah, I think some people said that that's just the thing with AC, it doesn't really matter too much, but to be honest, I don't understand any of that. Anyway, it wasn't the CT clamp that was the problem. The problem, it seems, was something else. The Zappi was installed last year by EV Domestic. They were absolutely fantastic, and it was all working fine. Intelligent Octopus Go worked absolutely fine at the time. When I had the solar and battery installed, I wanted the My Energy app to tell me what the solar use was. I can't remember why, but to do that, we had to put the Harvey on. It seems there's a limit with the Harvey in terms of the amount of amps it will support. So we've got a 100 amp fuse for this house, but I think the Harvey will only do sort of 65, I think it is. So this is the Harvey, and we've got two CT clamps. One of them is actually not in use. It was going to be measuring the solar, but then that caused other issues. So that's the one that's measuring the load to and from the grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a different CT clamp on here, actually going directly into the Zappi. So I've got a spare CT in here. I don't know how I'm going to connect it actually, but for the moment I'm just going to try and connect it to this and then poke it through somehow. So I've got to get this off. Turn that off. This is a CT clamp. You can see at the end here, splits into positive and negative. And the CT is going here. So you've got CT1, 2 and 3. So I'll obviously stick it in CT1. So I'll get it through there and then connect it up where this one is. Because this one is connected to the Harvey. That's so tight. Anyway, I've managed to get that through. Do that up as much as I can. But I think that's all okay. So what I'm going to do is turn it on, just make sure it still works. Now I'll put the CT clamp on there, replacing that one, and then I'll select it in the menu here and remove the Harvey. So this is neutral, that's live. There's an absolute mess of cables in here, and obviously there's two unused CTs there. But it's going to be way too much hassle for me to try and remove all that, so I'm probably just going to leave it as a mess for the moment. CT config, CT1, definitely grid. Okay, CT detect, oops, on, I think that's correct. And now link devices, we've got Harvey there, and we want remove device. Okay, so yeah, bit of a mess in there. Right, now I'll do up the screws and I'll plug in the car and I'll just make sure that it still charges. Do a bump charge and start it charging now just to test. Just charge now. If I've connected everything correctly, then that should start saying 7 point whatever from the grid. If I go to the Alpha app, I'm going to go start charging now, and I'm going to see what happens. And hopefully, it doesn't cause an error. I think that's looking all right. I mean, you know, you don't count your chickens until they've hatched, but it seems to be looking okay, and it is reducing the amount that goes to the car if it needs to, which is what it should do, so it doesn't blow the 100 amp house fuse. So I'm really pleased that's working, and it does mean, of course, that I can now get the cheap daytime slots for charging the car, which I would avoid before because of this issue that I had. So that's great. I could also charge up the battery during those cheap slots if I wanted to, and I could do that automatically by using something called Home Assistant, but I'm going to save that for another video. And actually, I think Octopus probably don't want people charging up their battery at the same time as the car. But anyway, I'll save that for another video, I think. So I think the system is fantastic. It's easy to get a little bit despondent when it's raining all the time. You're not generating very much, you're really not saving much money. So yeah, it's easy to get a bit glum, but when the sun comes out, and hopefully it will be sunny like this for a while, then you're just reminded just how good getting solar panels and batteries are. It's just wonderful. I'm so glad we did it. And yeah, the system is performing really well, actually. Although I've had some little glitches with the alpha system, generally, you know, overall it's very good. And I'll do another video about that sort of review of the alpha system. So that's coming at some point. Pepperina's going to steal my notes. But yeah, it's great, and I just highly recommend you do it, whether you want to do it for environmental reasons, because you don't want to burn fossil fuel directly or indirectly, or you want energy independence, which I think is a big, big thing, then I highly recommend it. And I appreciate not everyone can do it, you know, but if you're staying in your house for a while, I think it's probably just as good an investment as a kitchen, probably better really, because it actually pays you back. And yeah, so talk to Heatable, use my code at the bottom of the screen, Mr. EV 150 for £150 off solar installation, Mr. EV 75 for £75 off a battery installation. And whatever you do, whoever you go with, I just think you'll be very, very happy. So that's it, I think. I think I've prattled on enough for this video, so thank you very much for watching it. Please press the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of other videos. And the next video is going to be about the system after having it for a year. So we'll find out what the payback period is and how much we've saved, how much we've earned, all the rest of it. So that's going to be quite an exciting one, I think. So thank you very much, and bye for now.